During the mid-2000s, Myspace was one of the biggest online social networks with over 75 million users a month at its peak. Unfortunately, its reign ended as soon as competitors like Facebook overtook it with its innovative features. The downfall of Myspace is not just attributed to its strong competitors. It was down due to its poor management as well. Good timing and accessibility were the reasons Myspace rose to the heights of success. After being launched in 2003, the platform was one of the first social media sites. The service offered by Myspace was non-restrictive and allowed users to customize their own pages. It added new features based on user demand. The site also attracted a lot of creative people as it allowed brands and users to interact with each other. It promoted influencers and made their interaction with the audience easier. Soon, bands were getting famous, and the platform was becoming a staple for the Millennials. However, things weren't meant to be hunky-dory for Myspace. All this fame drifted off pretty quick, and it met a very tragic end. Hello, and welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be discussing the truth behind the collapse of one of the very first social media platforms, Myspace. But before we begin, please consider subscribing to the channel and ringing that bell icon so you never miss any new uploads. Done? Alright, let's begin. What was Myspace.com? Myspace.com was a social media platform that allowed its users to create web profile pages highlighting their interests. It connected them to each other on the platform. One of the most interesting things about this site was that it allowed its users to use fictitious nicknames rather than their real names. Not many websites allowed this at that time. Apart from connecting with friends and other users, people could also follow official accounts, publish blog posts, or engage in various forums. Myspace was particularly focused on promoting musicians. It even dedicated a section that allowed users to listen to songs and share them with others. One of the major reasons why people loved Myspace was the fact that it allowed its users to customize their profiles using basic HTML and CSS commands. It became the basis of its popularity. Nowadays, Myspace is limited to lifestyle content and music, still focused on promoting artists. Background of Myspace.com. The background of Myspace is based on true simplicity. Launched on August 1, 2003 by Tom Anderson, Brad Greenspan, and Chris DeWolf, Myspace expressed their own idea of what a social network should be like. The three partners were inspired by Friendster. They worked for this social network previously. They took away some of the most popular features of Friendster and gathered them together with a few changes to make a new site. The group got the initial version of the Myspace ready in just 10 days. Myspace quickly became popular as it enabled its users to create and fully customize their profiles. It allowed users to send friend requests. It was a new thing in the early days of social networking sites. It also allowed its users to post music, pictures, and videos in specific subsections on their profiles. Users could do all of this by using plain HTML. Myspace made it possible to post any kind of content on its website. Hate speech and extreme nudity were the only things Myspace cared to censor. In short, Myspace was quite popular among younger users between the ages of 16 and 25. This continuously increasing popularity and support for the media features of the site also led it to attract many celebrities to the website. Most musicians turned towards the site, and the increasing popularity also attracted widespread attention to Myspace. The site was soon taken over by News Corporation in July of 2005 for about $580 million. A year after it was taken over, Myspace's value tripled. In June 2006, it overtook Google and Yahoo to become the most visited website in the US. From the year 2005 to 2008, Myspace was the biggest social media site with over 80 million users per month at its peak in the year 2008. Myspace gained a lot of profit during this time, and its only source of revenue was advertisements that it displayed on its website. So why did Myspace fail? Myspace's collapse is attributed to, well, a number of reasons, but the major one is its inability to compete with its strong competitors. Myspace's main arch-rival was Facebook. Both social media platforms were often linked together, even though they had different visions and features. Both these platforms were often directly compared. What else contributed to the demise of Myspace? Well, let's go through some different reasons that led to the downfall of Myspace. Confusing interface. The interface used by Myspace has been an issue since the beginning. Myspace mainly focused on enabling its users to customize their profiles. This idea was all good, but it required the users to have a little know-how about HTML to customize their profiles. Although Myspace later tried to fix these issues by offering a simpler and better interface design, it was too late, as users had already shifted to another better site. Between 2007 and 2008, there were several redesigns to fix bugs and make using the site less complicated. This confused users even more. The shift to a stronger focus on music came in 2010 when it became clear that Myspace couldn't keep up. The site's constant redesigns and shifts in focus meant that users were endlessly confused and could never settle into a usage rhythm. This was an important factor in migrating users to the simpler, cleaner website, which was Facebook. Too many ads. Myspace's only and foremost source of revenue was was through displaying advertisements. Their investors and partners constantly pressured them to take a more aggressive approach to display advertisements so that they could better make up for the declining user base. Although this helped MySpace survive temporarily, its website looked very cluttered with lots of ads compared to the interface that Facebook was offering at the time. It seemed quite unattractive to the users, and they preferred shifting. Constant redesigns. MySpace shuffled between 4 different companies. It means that every time a new owner came, they introduced changes to the site. These day-to-day changes in the design of the site frustrated the users to the point that in 2010, approximately 50% of MySpace users simply left the site because of these issues. Even the co-founder, Tom Anderson, expressed his disappointment with the constantly changing design and the idea of the website. Anonymous usernames. MySpace users could sign up with any email address, whether theirs or not. It didn't require them to be part of an academic institution. The site also allowed its users to use anonymous usernames and details, which helped many to hide their real details. This made users feel a bit disconnected, as they could not connect with anyone on a personal level. On the other hand, competitors like Facebook forced its users to use their real details, making it easier for them to connect on a more personal level. Delayed innovation. Many of the competitors of MySpace, like Facebook and Twitter, added new and better features to their websites that made them easier to use. This is the reason Facebook is considered the grandfather of social networking sites. MySpace failed to innovate on time and kept up with its old features. This only accelerated the transition of users to other platforms and led to the downfall of MySpace. Underestimating the competition. MySpace and Facebook were founded by very different kinds of people. While Facebook was created, MySpace was designed and run by marketing people, and their view of what social media might be was quite different from that of the people who run Facebook. MySpace then made a huge blunder by ignoring Facebook. They thought of it as another imitator. However, when it became clear that Facebook would stay, MySpace tried to copy Facebook's strategy and design and was already left behind. Later, it tried to rename itself to a music platform, but even this came too late. MySpace took its competitors' way to light and underestimated them. If a startup is to be successful, it must focus on the customers instead of getting involved with the competition. But neglecting one's competition is also a strategy for ruin. A business must always be aware of its competition and take precautions if they are ever to become a threat. MySpace failed in both aspects. Corruption of the platform. MySpace became a hub for corporate spamming and junk mail. The site only had one option for users when they signed up, which was to become friends. Companies would sign up and imitate people, insidiously market products and services to people, and infiltrate social groups to sell and attract customers. MySpace has not been able to monitor this effectively, while Facebook has been aware of this issue from the beginning and has built security precautions into the software to protect users from it. Facebook separates individuals, groups, and pages efficiently, so businesses can set up pages under their name and act as a business rather than people. If a person is seen as an advertisement to a business, they will be marked as spam and may be cut off from the platform. This helped Facebook protect its users from inconvenience. MySpace was nowhere near this resolution. Poor management. MySpace was not launched by tech experts, it was developed and operated by people from the entertainment industry. This put them at an innovation disadvantage compared to their competitors. Facebook was found and run by technology experts who knew how to program their perfect website. This gave them an advantage and a dynamic that MySpace could never achieve. MySpace has never been a real company. It was part of a larger marketing company. The main purpose of this platform was to gather users to sell them services. They realized that the sheer number of users could become potential customers to them. Compare this to Facebook, where user experience came first. Murdoch's company's purchase of MySpace was a major factor in the failure of the social networking site. Rupert Murdoch soon lost interest in MySpace, and the old-fashioned business style of corporations stifled a company that desperately needed the fresh innovation of a startup mentality. Deteriorated public image. In addition to all of these issues, MySpace has been plagued by a bad public image. As MySpace's user base grew, so did the number of people who were posting inappropriate content. The lack of monitoring by the social networking website has only fueled the problems. Parents reacted hostile to the site and actively prevented their children from using it. This came to a head when an investigation in Connecticut in 2006 investigated allegations of child pornography. This led to many users switching to Facebook and other platforms that seemed more secure than MySpace. The site was no longer seen as an appropriate one and was considered foul by most people. MySpace is an example of the failure of traditional management styles in startup industries. A startup must be flexible. It must be able to react quickly and dynamically to changing markets and changing expectations. This is not possible if it is run like a traditional business. That is when a plan is thought through. Predictions are made and then the plan is executed blindly without checking the immediate results. MySpace's story also shows how fragile the social media industry really is. is. Such dominant websites as Friendster and MySpace can seem untouchable, but are almost forgotten within a few years. Social networks need to focus not only on direct customer interactions, but also on providing tools and a platform where customers can interact with each other. Such sites should take the competition seriously and should continue to improve over time, facilitating their users. Many social media sites get to learn from the story of MySpace, and they can ensure their stability by avoiding the mistakes of MySpace. Let us know in the comments below whether you were one of the early MySpace users. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and to turn on your notifications. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.